Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Build and Deploy Your First Website workshop. My name is Bradley, and this below me is Kang Yang. Slide, please. Apologies for the delay. That's what I can share. Oops, I'll go back to the top. All right, so today, basically, you will be going through your intro to HTML and CSS and how to add content to a website, how to style your website with CSS, and then customizing your website, so a bit of a practical, and then there'll be a review. So these slides are on in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. So if you just follow the link that I provided, or you can follow this link, you'll be able to get onto these slides and follow along. And so what you will learn today is just the basic structure and syntax of HTML and CSS. So anything that you need to create your own website, whether that be your personal or for related to the hackathon. Some important HTML elements and CSS properties. So we'll go through that later on. And how to deploy your website to the real world so that everyone else in the world can see it. I will pass back along to Kang Yang for the next steps.
Yeah, okay, so let's just start directly. So if you want to have a look at what we'll be building today, you can just go to this link. Okay. And if you want to save any the code that you'll be writing today, you have to sign up for an account. Otherwise, you can just go here and then click on this remix your own thing. Yeah, so this is the website that this link will bring you to, and you can just click on this and you should see something like this. And yeah, you can click on this show button and click on the next to code to look at the website. Yeah, this is basically what your website will look like. And let's make a first change. So first, we'll change this title element with your name. Oops. Nice. Alright.
At least you know it's secure. So as while we're waiting, I should just say we are using Glitch just for a practical use, just so we can show you what it'll look really quickly.
Yeah, just change the title element and this first header element to your name. I'll explain this later. And you should see this your website update. And yeah. And let me explain what all these files are. Basically, assets is just a folder where you store all your images or contents or videos, all your media that will be like appear on your website. You can just store them in the asset folder. And this readme.md, it's actually a markdown document. So you can put your documentation in here. So like documenting, yeah, just basically any documentation like why you do this, why you do that. And for this .html file, this is like the thing that will be shown on your website. So basically it's a skeleton of your website and all your contents go into this file. And then next, for these two, both CSS file, for the CSS file is basically just for styling your website, so you can customize how your website looks like. If you want your background to be black, or you want to change the font or something, this is the file where you make those changes. And this media query.css is basically just a file that makes your website looks nice on different device. And this style.css is basically where we'll make our change for all these things today. Brett will explain in details later. So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is basically the code that structures your web page. And yeah, every web page that you see on the internet, it's basically a HTML file. So the HTML syntax is so this whole thing is an HTML element. It consists of an opening tag, and then the contents, and then the closing tag. So you open, and then you put your content in here, and then you close. There are some exceptions. Basically, these are self-closing tags. So you just have the opening tag, and then you put your attributes in here, and there are no contents or self-closing tags. So yeah, link and image is one of those self-closing tags. So this is what every website will have. It's basically like a scaffolding for you to write your code. So explain line by line. The first line, this .type HTML is just specifying that this document is the HTML document. And then for the opening of the this is the opening tag for the HTML element, and yeah, the closing tag is here below here. And then the head tag is just like contains all the information about your website, like the title of the website, like that will appear on the tabs of a browser. And then you can put like this you can put like this metadata or description and all those things here. Like if you put a description in here, it will appear in things like Google search and all those things. And closing tag, and this body element is basically where the contents of your website will be. So this is like everything that will appear on your website, you just put between this body element, between this opening tag and closing tag of the body. And then closing tag for HTML. So let's open the HTML index.html in Glitch, and if you want, you can follow along. And basically, yeah, this thing here is the same thing with this. As I said, the meta tag or metadata contains information about the pages. If you see here, this defines the character set. So you can use maybe like UTF-8 like this, or UTF-16 or ASCII or something like that. And this is just defining like the browser thing and the viewport. Yeah, just things that will not appear on the website. So for line 8 to 11, the link tag, it will connect your HTML to other files. So our HTML here are connected to the two files that we have in our project. So this is the style sheet. So you reference you link the style sheet here so that the browser know where to look for the style sheet and they can apply your customization on the website. Yeah, they can render your customization by knowing this file. So yeah, the style of CSS is our main style sheet, and this is just to make the web page look nice on various devices. And then for this last two line, this line 10 is basically like setting a font, obtaining a font from Google APIs. And then for this line 11, it is just like obtaining a icon library from called Font Awesome, so that we can use those icons on our page. And for line 14, this is just the opening tag, and this H1 is actually the header text. This ranges from 1 to 6. So this header tag, you can imagine just like a book. So H1 is like the title of the book, and H2 is maybe like a chapter of the book or something like that. This header tag is like just a way for you to structure your website. And
You could also think of it as in Word, you'll have like different heading styles, like first heading, second heading, third heading. It's basically the same thing, but for a website.
yeah, and yeah, they'll appear like they will be styled automatically. Oops, wrong place. Like if I do H2, yeah, as you can see, it will be styled automatically, but of course you can change all those things. And for the P is basically just a short form for paragraph. So like if you want to put any articles or any text, actually like just any text, you can use a paragraph tag. And this is just the fish that you see in the corner here for line 23 and 24. Yeah. Okay. So CSS syntax, I'll go through this like just a little bit, and Brad later will talk about more about CSS. So for CSS, the syntax, it's basically like this is the selector. So here, as you can see, you are selecting H1. So you want to change H1, the first header for, yeah, you want to change the thing for first header. And the property is this. So in this case, it's color. You want to change the color. And then value is basically what follows property. And yeah, you can you can change your color like blue or red or black or something like that, and you will see the color of the font to change. Yeah,
And on
let
that
me
note, it
yeah.
does change every single heading. So in this case, I think it was heading one.
Yeah.
It will change every single heading one that you have in your HTML document. So just be wary of that too.
Yeah, this is the hex code. So like if I want to change the red, yeah, basically you can just change. Like if you want to change your font, you can also define this here. I think it's font family, but I'll leave that to Brad later. And so this whole thing, the selector and the property and value together, this whole thing is called a rule set. And this the value and the property together is called declaration. Yeah. So now let's add some contents into our website. So you can, so this is the paragraph between the paragraph tag, you can maybe like add something that a sentence or two about yourself. Just copy from here. Yeah, you can basically add anything, and you can see it will appear here. And now let's add a H to our second heading. I'll just put about, yeah. And then, oops, another paragraph tag.
On note too, you don't necessarily have to have paragraph tags, but some people think it increases readability. So
Yeah,
feel free to include them if you'd like.
yeah. So you can like it will automatically like separate like there will be this space. It will automatically like put a blank space between the paragraphs. So yeah, it's just like you're writing your essay and you put paragraphs for better readability. And yeah, so for the change that we did just now, H2 is basically the heading element that we've talked just that I have explained just now. And yeah, for the best practice is that every web page should only have one H1. So because it's like the title of the book, and for one book you don't have like multiple title, right? So this is the best practice. And yeah, basically you can just think of this heading element as the chapters and titles of the books, and P is the paragraph element, and these are just used to create paragraphs on your web page. And yeah, let's add another second header beneath this that says your project, and you can change all this description to whatever you want, since this is your website, and you don't have to follow exactly this. Okay, and yeah, I add a list. This is like UL is unordered list, and I'll explain later. So inside the UL, as you can put this LI or list item in your list, and basically, yeah, it will come out as this point form. If you want an ordered list, I believe you can do OL for ordered list, and yeah, this element, this item. Yeah, so if you want like numbers, you can use OL for these things. Yeah. And then, okay, so let's make this the third header. As you can see, it's automatically like styled. And yeah, you can also put like paragraph here. Yeah. Can just like in this unlisted unordered list, you can also put a paragraph in here, just like so you describe like your third heading. Yeah, so basically if you follow exactly like what they are doing, you should have something like this. Yeah. And then as I said, the UL is unordered list, and by default, yeah, it will just show bulleted list of elements. And li is the list item, so you first define whether you want an unordered list or an ordered list, and then for each item you just use the li element or tag. Yeah, Brad, do you want to explain this slide?
Sure. So basically, what this is saying, you can have unordered lists inside of unordered lists. So if you wanted, let me get a text document up. I think that'll be the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, and I'll share my screen. Apologies for the infiniteness. Okay, so say if you wanted so you have a list. So this is just a, and then you wanted that like a list inside a list. So this would be list 1, and this would be the start of list 2, element 1. And you have list 2, element 2. That is basically, and then you could also have back to list 1, element 2. So basically that's all it's trying to explain, is you can have, you can have lists inside a list, and you can have, I guess, yeah, list inside a list is basically the main thing that it's trying to say. And the list, the innermost list, is a child of the bigger, like the outer list. So if I were to show my screen again, okay, 1 second, apologies. So list 1 will be the parent of list 2. And then you could have list 3 here. So list 3's parent would be list 2, and list 3's godparent would be list 1. If that makes sense. I hope it didn't confuse anyone. If you do have any questions, please do ask in the comments, and we will get back to you.
Yeah, and you can also use the paragraph tag, and if you put like a paragraph tag between these two, and the paragraph tag will the paragraph element will be the child element of the unordered list element. And yeah, let's add an image now. So basically you just go back and you can just put an image in here. Oops. One second.
We'll be back out in the skies one day.
Yeah, so you upload this and you click on the picture, and you can see the link here. Just copy the link, and yeah, let's add that to our website. So the image, you can use the image element, and that source src. Yeah, src. So you define the source of the picture. It's basically just the link that you copied, and this should show up. Yeah. So basically, this image is a self-closing tag. So you just put the image tag here and opening tag here and define an attribute. In this case, the source attribute. So that your browser know where to look where to find the picture, and it will just render this picture out. And yeah. So like I said, the image is the element that contains an image, and yeah, it's a self-closing tag, so you don't need to like do this slash image thing to close the tag. And source is an attribute, and it just tells where the image is stored. And yeah, so now let's add these icons down here. So this is like the at the beginning of the presentation, there's this thing, the font or something, in the head element. So you have already tell the browser where the browser can find your icon. So now we just need to insert that to our website. So now let's define a footer. And between this, you can put a I'll explain these two tags later. Basically, it's just A is just to like make the thing inside here clickable. So I is for icon, and basically A is like make the thing clickable, and it will bring you to another like link that you specify here using this href attribute. So let's do that. And just oh. Oh my god. And this target attribute is basically just to tell the browser to open this link in a new tab. So it's for this blank. And the icon. I just copy from here. So small tip, you can actually like press this right click and press this inspect element thing in the browser to view that this to take a look at the source code of any of the web page. So again, copy. Oops. Yeah. And it should appear, yeah. So this is like, and if you click on this, it will open in a new tab basically. Oops, the link does not exist. Yeah, you can look up in the documentation, like if you want to open the link in the new window or something like that, you can just change this attribute to something else. You can look into the documentation for those things.
And on that note too, you don't like you can have a LinkedIn icon and open anything up in the world. So
Yeah,
it's not necessarily only for LinkedIn.
yeah, you can just change this thing to anything else. Yeah, so this is what your website is going to look like once you did that. And yeah, let me explain all these things. So basically the A element is the anchor element. So they are used to create links. So like when you click on the icon, it will bring you to the link that you define. And there are several use, and in this case, it's just to add an icon to the website. And href is an attribute that contains the URL, and so you can define where your anchor element will link. Like when people press on to the thing, the which link will they be like redirected to. And for this targeting, as I said, it's just an attribute that you can use to open links in new tabs. And then class, did we define a class? Oh yeah, this class is just a way to like specify things so that when you make edit your CSS, you can select this specific class, and you can like style them accordingly, and it will apply to all things that have the same class name. And for last, this aria hidden thing is just an attribute to tell screen readers to ignore an element. So basically just an accessibility thing. So yeah, you just don't want the screen reader to like read out the icon and all those things. So in HTML, if you want to make something the text to be italic or bold, you can use these two text and two elements. So this is EM is for emphasis, so it's basically italics, and strong is for bold. Yeah, so let's try that out. In opening tag, let's do emphasis, and closing tag. Oops. And as you can see, this is like italic, and for bold you just do strong. Yeah, so emphasis for italic and strong for bold. Yeah, so that's basically it. I'll let Brad explain the CSS thing to style your website.
Cool. Thank you. I'll just keep it in this view so it's easier for everyone, so I don't have to switch between tabs as often. So oops, let me just go up a little bit. Okay, cool. So in CSS, oh, I've gone too far. There we go. In CSS, you can change all different settings for each element of your page, so you can display it however you like. As you can see here in this slide, as Kenyan explained before, you can change H1 to be any color you want, but you don't have to necessarily put a name. If I go to HTML colors here, you can have either a name or you can have it as a hexadecimal color number. So instead of putting in Dodger blue or whatever they put, Dodger blue, you can put in a hexadecimal color value. So if I were to grab, let's just say this purple, and put it into, let me reload it. Sorry for the delay. I promise you this is all working beforehand. And if I put it instead for color 2, sorry, heading 1, and change the color, and I went back to my index.html and show next to the code. As you can see, my name is now purple. So also you can change the font type of your text. In this case in here, all the body is going to be changed to the font family of Open Sans. And if the browser doesn't know Open Sans for whatever reason, then it would use I can't even say the name. I'm not going to bother pronouncing it. Or they could use Arial or sans serif. And yeah, that's the way you can change fonts and colors. In terms of margin, that's how much like padding, I guess you could say, is put around each element of the body, in between each section. So if I were to go to this section here, this code, it will put, in this case here, a margin of 3% would put 3% of a margin between the head, the body, and footer. And please let us know if you have any questions. So in this case here, I think I have it in my CSS. I don't. Let me just change this to 3%. I change that to 3%. 3% of margin between each of my things. And then if I were to change it to, let's say, 40%, as you can see, it's changed the sizing. So you can fiddle around with these sizes to make it what you please, to make it perfect for your own website. In terms of heading 1, I think I've explained that, but if you haven't explained it well enough, please do let me know and I'll go through it again. In terms of the different sizing units, CSS does use different sizing units for different functions for different sizing elements. So pixels is used for all the heading functions and the paragraph functions, and that's just the unit. So you can just type in a number and it'll be fine. Percentages, so that is referring to like the relative storing of different elements. Relative sizing of different elements. I guess it may be a little more accurate for you, so you can put in a round number and it will adjust it accordingly. And as it says here, for example, the images in the project section have a width of 80%. So if I go to the CSS, media CSS should have it. In this case, it's got a width of 94 viewport width units, which we'll go into now. And you can change that and it'll change the percentage of your image. In terms of the viewport width units, I'll leave it to read there, but basically it is just another unit of measure for scaling different images and all that. And the viewport height units changes the height, and the viewport width units changes the width. In terms of adding some color, you can, as I said before, check out the Hex Colors website. You can even type into Google, just go Hexa color picker. So I'll use just in my preparation. You can change any color you want and just copy this hexadecimal code and then paste it into your style.css. So I'll just change heading 2. So that's the About Me heading, and then change to blue or a light blue. So yeah, you can change it to be any color you want. I'll leave that to check for you when you're doing it by yourselves or along with us. In terms of CSS tags, basically heading to, in terms of CSS style, the style of the CSS will be basically used on everything that's in the body of your document. So, for example, it won't be used in terms of the header because there's nothing showing the header, I guess, and it won't be used in the footer. So that's, yeah, cool. Some structure, that's also done in CSS. In HTML. Sorry, you can use section tags. So if I were to do it in my index.html, and I wanted a section between about me and projects, I can go section. Oops. I'm in the middle of a header tag. I apologize. I'm just going to make this to one line. So I want section, and then most IDEs won't autocomplete for you, so you'd have to do this by yourselves. Section, and then it'll create a section for me. And make sure you do have an opening and closing section tag because it won't work properly if you don't do that. In terms of, you can add your headings in there. So this is just going through step by step to make it exactly what's on the screen, but in the mindfulness of time, I won't go through every step. Again, you could add division elements that you can place between each section. So if I were to do that, I can make a div and have some text in here. Paragraph, hello world. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Then I've had another division element. Yeah. It just allows you to divide up your solution a lot more, which helps readability too. In terms of the position, again, you can have a look at that later in your own time. In terms of style, this class selector, basically, if you have a class in your HTML, like a section that you made, you can call it, and then it will put these settings. So in terms of this logo, I have text line to the left and the width of 48. It will apply that only to the logo. So that's how you create custom settings for your code, for your website. In terms of this is just adding more functions for the class main. I don't think I have a main. I do not. But yeah, that's in here. If you do not have like a main or H2, it won't edit anything, so don't worry about that. So basically, in review of the CSS, display determines how much, how much it would an image or a relevant property would take up on a website or on your page. Flex is just one possible value for display property. The other possible values are on the slides above. And justify content is basically a CSS property that allows you to tell the browser how much space you want between your elements on the same line. And space around is a value that allows you to put equal space around all the elements on a web page. Cool. In terms of height, it tells you how tall the image should be or how tall the element should be. And a 70 VH means, or 70 view height means that 70% of the image or whatever object it is should be 70% of how tall the browser window is. So if I have my browser window really like a half the screen, it should be 70% of half that screen, if that makes sense. I'll leave you to go through that as well if you're following along. So this is basically how you add the classes. So div class. So if I were to go back to my code and add, let's just say here div, div class, what they want me to call it, main. Cool. And h2 about. So if I were to put that in here, as you can see, it's changed relevant to the settings that are in main. And then you can do it for left and right. So yeah, you can change any of the settings you want, and they will only change for in my case, main. But if you did have dot left and dot right, it will change everything for div classes that have left and right as their names. In terms of resizing image, that can be done through CSS. So I have a Sinks image, I think. Yes, the hashbang, a trusty hashbang. So if I go here, I have the width and height. So the height is automatically done. So it's usually the height of the image. So if I were to change this to 60, I don't think it'll change at all. Let me see my. Oop. Okay. Go 10. It's going smaller. But then conversely, if I change it to 5, this image is a bit big.
Maybe it's because of the height auto thing.
Oh, yes.
Try using pixel. Yeah, try using pixel
Thank
value.
you. Yes. And then EPX. There we go. As you can see, it's changed on my webpage, and you'll be able to make it as small as you want through this image property. Cool. And basically, that is it for that section. As I said before, you can change display, height, and width and color through all the functions that we've outlined above. In terms of hexadecimal colors, I've showed you this website, which is, oops, not that website. I've closed it, but there is the W3 Schools website, and that will have all the hexadecimal colors, all the color names, and feel free to follow that, and that will give you all the accurate names for your HTML document. And that brings us to customization. I won't run through all this optional stuff because we are running a little bit late, but please do go through this in your own time. In terms of a review, HTML creates a skeleton for every website. So every website in the world will have the exact same doc type HTML, head, body, footer. The CSS allows you to make your code, your website beautiful, or ugly, I guess, if you want to make it ugly, if you're trying to make a point. And deploying the website makes it available for others to see. I do have more notes on that because this MLH presentation doesn't go that much that into depth on it. But on GitHub, if you were to go to your student developer pack, they have some offers. They're like Namecheap, so you can buy your own custom domain. I don't know if you want to use this for your hackathon projects, but you can. You can use Namecheap to buy a custom domain, and GitHub actually allows you to host your own website. So you can either use GitHub, but that is only for static websites that don't change while live. If you wanted to have your own server, I would recommend DigitalOcean. They do give you $50 credit, so they'll cover the first year or so, I believe, of your server. So that allows you to host your website. And GitHub also has a whole lot of other offers that they have, so feel free to have a look at that. And I know that this glitch presentation doesn't really give you an accurate representation of what a real website looks like. So I have my own website that I can show you. This is I mocked up in a week. I've used a template, but basically this is what you can create. So feel free to use any of the projects that you have, any of this information to try and create your own websites. Okay, in terms of like the file structure, you can have, like, I know that you uploaded assets to Glitch, but in real life you don't really do that. So what I've done, have it in like a assets folder. Oh, sorry, my images folder, and have all my images that I have on my website here, and you have all your other HTML pages around the place. So just be aware that it may not be as accurate as you think. In terms of everything else, future problems you can practice is adding fonts. Please do check out the Google Fonts website if you want more fonts to be on your website. And yeah, you can purchase a custom domain, as I said, through Namecheap. In terms of additional resources, MLH have a whole stack here. Please feel free to go through them. They haven't put the most important resource there, which I think is W3 Schools. W3 Schools has a whole bunch of resources on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, really SQL. It goes on and on, but in terms of this workshop, go through the HTML tutorials if you need to, or I use them from time to time if I can't remember how to do things. Basically, it's a large reference guide, and yeah, feel free to go through it. And if you need some help, otherwise we'll be here to help you out. So that brings us to the end of our workshop, but we do have some announcements and reminders from our Syncs team. So our games night commences 9 p.m. tonight. We're going to be playing an online version of Pictionary, so that'll be a lot of fun. So please do join us. The link will be in the announcements channel, I believe, soon. Also, if you we are asking all competitors to please submit to DevPost tonight. That's just because if you do submit at 11 a.m. tomorrow, you may not get it in on time. So it's just a sanity check for yourselves. And please do keep the memes coming in. I did see a few good memes last night and this morning. I have a few. Oops, I have a few that I've selected quickly before presenting this workshop. So please do keep them coming in because they are fun, and I guess keeps us Syncs organizers awake at night, laughing at your memes. And please do keep hydrated and sleep well, because sleep is important, especially during a 40-hour hackathon. Other than that, thank you for coming, and we will see you tomorrow for our the end of hacking time and the judging session, which will be posted on StreamYard through Facebook and YouTube. And we will see you at the closing ceremony too. So I wish you the best of luck for your hackathon. And from myself, good luck. And yeah, good luck for everyone. Kang, do you want to say a final word?
Yeah, if you have any question, like maybe how to host your own website or anything, yeah, just message us, because we have done those things before, and we can help you. Yeah.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Best of luck for your hackathon.